Howdy, folks! From Texas, where everything is bigger and better. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Shanna from the 5M Family Homestead channel. I don't have a tiger. I only have an elephant, so use your imagination. Will you accept this rose and be a subscriber to our channel? Oh, hi. It was no mistake that you came across the 5M Family Homestead page, because there are no mistakes, only happy little accidents. Hey y'all, it's Shanna from the 5M Family Homestead. Okay, that's my real intro. I just thought it would be funny to act goofy for a little bit because quarantine life has me crazy. Today I just wanted to go over some budgeting tips with you guys. It's things that we do in our family. We've been a one-income family for the last 15 years. And I wanted to just share our journey with you, how we got here and kind of what we do on a I guess a bi-weekly basis, because we do a budget every 2 weeks, and what works for us. Maybe there's somebody out there that's feeling a little bit overwhelmed and maybe I can help guide them, or if you have any questions you can ask me. So let's get started. Okay guys, here's a little backstory on Tobin and myself. We have been married 19 years on April the 14th, and we have been together for 24. We were high school sweethearts, so that's fun. Very early in our marriage, Tobin ran and owned a construction cleanup company, and I worked in human resources, so we had two incomes, and that was kind of how it was always going to be. We knew when we had kids, I was going to stay home the 6 weeks and I was going to go back to work. But that didn't happen, because when we had Sarah, I called him 2 weeks into me being home with her and said, I can't go back to work. There's no way. I wanted to be home with her. And he is the most selfless man when it comes to what I want. And he said, okay, we'll figure it out. So overnight we went from a 2-income family to a 1-income family. And that was a big adjustment. I did not grow up on a budget. Neither did Tobin. So when we owned the business, we made a stupid amount of money. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to say this: when you're young and you make a stupid amount of money, you make stupid mistakes and you spend a lot of money, which is what we did, and we racked up a whole lot of debt. So when we went from the 2 incomes to the 1 income, we knew that we had to get ourselves into gear. So Tobin had started listening to Dave Ramsey, and we took his classes and we started following some of his stuff and implementing his procedures and the things that he suggested. And we made some drastic changes. We sold our brand new home that we had just built, and we moved into a 900 square foot apartment. It was me, Tobin, and Sarah at the time. We sold a lot of stuff and we got out of debt. So it wasn't easy. We did have to sacrifice a lot, but we knew if I was going to stay home, then we had to make some sacrifices to be able to make that happen. So over the years, I have learned how to budget better. This was something I didn't know, like I said before, and it was all new to me. So it was really a trial and error. I kind of just sat down and figured it out based on some of the techniques that Dave Ramsey had taught us and some of those techniques that just worked for us. I don't know that everyone will like the way that we do it, and that's okay, that's fine. Everyone has their own way of doing things. But this is what worked for us, and I hope that you can maybe just pick something small out of what I say and help implement it, and maybe not feel so quite overwhelmed with a budget. A budget was very overwhelming for me. I did not know what to do, and I didn't know what that looked like, and it scared me. And so I hope just some of the things that I'm going to go over with you today it will show you it doesn't have to be a big scary thing. It can be quite simple. And if you go through this video and you see something and you want to ask more questions, feel free to ask. I love helping people out when it comes to this stuff because I have been in that boat and I know what it feels like. So next up, I'm going to show you what the Mathis budget looks like. A little tidbit: I'm currently in my closet, sitting on the floor in my closet in silence. It has been a day. Okay, first I wanted to show you this. This is my template for our budget. I have this written out and it's my go-to when I do my budget every time Tobin gets paid. As you can see, it's written on a piece of paper and it's in different color markers because I like different colors. I don't have how much we pay filled in because we aren't that good of friends for you to know how much I pay on my bills. So it's empty, but this gives you an idea. I have what bills are due on what check. I have when they're due, of the day of the month, and then over here I have two columns, one for our life insurance and one for our exterminator, because they come quarterly. So I'll know when to budget those in based on what quarter they come in. Tobin gets paid twice a month. He gets paid bi-weekly. And I split my budget based on what check comes at what time of the month, if that makes sense. So I have bills split up over his first check of the month, and then I have bills split up over the second check of the month. That way, I'm not paying all my bills out of one check. I've kind of evenly distributed them between the two paychecks. That way we have about the same amount left over on each checks. That took me a while to get to that point to where I could do that. I had to move things around for several months just to find out, okay, you know what, this one can wait until this bill can wait until next paycheck, and then I kind of moved it around. So let me give you an example. Tomorrow Tobin gets paid, so what I'll do is I'll pull out my template and I will see, okay, it's the last check of the month. These are the bills that are due. And then I take, y'all are gonna crack up on this. I have a spiral notebook that I keep my budget in. That's it. That's all I use, a spiral notebook and a pen and paper. And everyone's like, oh, Shanna, you should use Excel. You can drop things down and you can calculate things and columns and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, guess what, y'all? I got an eraser on the end of my pencil and I'll just erase it and start over because that works for me. So I am a pen and paper type of gal. This is a 97-cent spiral notebook that I got at Walmart, and it has every month in it of my bills, and it's that simple. So I will write down on that piece of paper, I will say, okay, on this check we pay these bills, and I write it down, and then I pay the bills. And once it clears my account, I just take my pencil and I literally mark out the bill, and then I know it's been paid. It's that simple. Some of you out there may like Excel. My parents and my brother both use Excel and they love it and it works for them, and that's great. I'm just an old school pen and paper type of gal. Very early on, that's what I did. Dave Ramsey, a lot of his stuff is done on the computer. I just didn't like it. I wanted to see it in front of me. I didn't want to have to turn on a computer. I just wanted to be able to get my notebook out, look at it, have a pen and paper, and do what I needed to do with it. And it works great for me. I can go back. I have years of these little spiral notebooks and I won't throw them away. I don't know why. It's some sort of attachment with them. But then so the budget is on a template and I can go back through and I can just see where my bills are due for what check. Like I said, it did take me a while to get it. I didn't just sit down and say, okay, I'm going to pay these bills and on this check and I'm going to pay this one and this one, and it worked. It did not work. It took me months to kind of move things around and figure it out. So I like that because at any point I can say, okay, his last check we pay these bills, on his first check he pays these bills. On the house payment, I do split my house payment up over the two checks. And what I mean by that is, let's say my mortgage is $400, which it's not. I put $200 out of the first check and $200 out of the last check for the mortgage, and then I pay it on the first. And what that means for me is when I balance my checkbook, which I do almost every other day, then I can say, okay, you know what, the $200 for the mortgage out of the first check needs to stay in the account because I haven't paid the mortgage yet. And so I balance that in and I know it's there. I don't take the cash out. I know Dave Ramsey suggests taking cash out and paying cash for a lot of things. We don't. There are some things we do have envelopes that we save, or we have that we're saving for, like Galveston, our cruise. If the kids have a birthday coming up or whatever, we have envelopes that we fill in that way with cash. But for the most part, we just use our debit card and I balance the checkbook. And so those are some things that I do in regards to the budget and my template and writing them all down. The other thing that I do, and I make sure I follow through on this, is if I go grocery shopping, I take this with me. It's a calculator. This was borrowed from my parents years ago and I haven't given it back. I love it, but I take it and I use it and I say, okay, $1.58 for cucumbers, $1.79 for water, $1.58 for whatever ice cream I need at that time. And I put it in my calculator and I stay within my budget. I try really, 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 really hard to stay with my budget for groceries, because if I went to the grocery store and didn't have a budget, y'all, I could spend a lot of money. I could spend a lot of money, especially for a family of 5. My husband and 2 boys that are growing can eat an insane amount of food. So I have to stick to the budget. Otherwise, I could spend a whole bunch. So I try really hard. I have a certain amount that I spend and I stay right there. Now, right now, during the times we're in, I am spending a little bit more, only because I am just trying to make sure, because the kids are home more, I'm home more, that we just stay stocked up on certain things. So there's always room for adjustments in your budget also. Just make sure when you write it down that you know that that adjustment is being made. It's that simple. It really is. I try not to make it complicated. I don't like things really complicated. I tend to get overwhelmed by that. And so this worked for me very early on. Like I said, I like a pen and paper, use my spiral notebook, and I write it down. The other thing that I do is Tobin and I are always in communication with each other. When he gets paid, we sit down and we go over the bills. He knows where money's going. I know where money's going. We are constantly talking about money. At any point, I could ask him, hey, what are we paying this month? And he could tell me, or he comes to me and says, hey, what do we have going on next month? And I would be able to tell him. I mean, we have out as far out as we've been saving for our Galveston trip, which isn't until July. We started in January. We have an envelope, and we just, every time we have a little bit of extra money in the budget, we put them in there. So communication is also important, making sure that you talk to your spouse, making sure that you both know where the money is going. That's super important. I wanted to be good stewards of the money that the Lord blesses us with, but I also wanted to be good stewards with the money that Tobin makes and that he brings home for the family. That is just something I give back to him. I take on that role as doing the budget and doing the bills, but he always knows what we're doing and what we're paying for and everything like that. I don't keep anything from him. So that's it. That's the Mathis budget. It's pretty simple. Probably you're watching this video and you're like, oh, that was duh, but I don't know. I thought it would be fun for y'all just to kind of see how we do things here. I think that's it, guys. If you have any comments or any suggestions, go ahead and comment below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please share our channel. We're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, which is really awesome. And we're thankful for all of you people that follow us and want to see more of our lives. I mean, yeah, we are so cool. I know it. I mean, I know that y'all wait for our videos. So hopefully we can give you more like that. Y'all take care of yourself right now in this crazy time that we live in. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.